I call the meeting to order. Today, Friday, March 27th, 2020, a little after 2. Roll call, we have Selectman Howdy Goodwin, Mike Mansley.
Yes.
Lee Jewett.
Yes.
Kevin Buck.
Yes.
Myself, Jamie Thurlow. And Town Manager Chris Saunders.
Yes.
Town Clerk Katie Danderand. All right, adoption of agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to change on the agenda? And, okay, I guess we'll move on to regular business. This is just for the COVID-19 update. So basically just going over everything we did last week and just 1 week later and check in to see what Keith has to say, if there's any updates on emergency stuff and how we want to move forward with the town crew and everything for the next, I guess, for the next week, basically. Keith, do you have anything new this week?
I didn't think I'd make the meeting, but I did. I went over a few things with Christopher earlier. Basically, I hate to say it out loud, but what I'm getting is we're hearing a lot of crickets. Everybody seems to be getting ramped up and geared and personnel in order for, and we had any influx or issues that we thought would happen. But I also want to mention I guess the Acadia National Park saw your letter, and it was actually very well received, and they actually followed in the selectmen's steps to try to support you guys, and that's when they made the decision to close down a lot of the park. And the head park ranger, she lives on McKinley Lane right there in Bass Harbor, so she did the Tremont resident, and she thought it was very well written and very well lit. The other thing that they're going to do is all the campgrounds, like Seawall Campground and a bunch of them, they're sending out notifications that they will not be opening them until after Memorial Day, which pushes it back a week or so from normal. But that's in their effort to try to slow people from coming. And other than that, the fire chiefs are doing a daily staffing report to let everybody know who's on call and all EMS people available. And we're trying to do planning, but like I said, I hate to say it out loud, but so far we haven't seen any increase in demand. If actually things have gotten quieter than normal, so we're pretty happy. So that's what I have.
Okay, good. Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only hope. So as far as the town staff, Chris, I was going to say, you're on mute right now, it says. Do you have anything you'd like to add in before we have a discussion on what to do with the town staff for this coming week?
Yeah, I'll say a few things. First of all, I just want to give a huge compliment to all of our staff. They've shown incredible flexibility and understanding and strength during all of this, and I think it's been a very stressful time for everybody. And I've been extraordinarily impressed with every single person and how willing folks have been to step up. And so that's, I think, first and foremost. Now, the second thing about just staffing this past week, I think it's been very successful. We've had at least one person in the office 8 to 4 every day. And then when there hasn't been a second person in the office, there's been a public works employee down at the garage. We've also had at least one public works person on all 5 days this week, the public works hours. And so it's been, I think, a pretty successful week. It was, very different from our normal operating procedure. And so it's had a little bit of a learning curve, but every morning if I have not been in the office, I've checked in with whoever is working the office, and every afternoon, same thing, I check in. And so far it seems like we're really figuring out creative ways to help the public. So for example, if someone comes in and they leave something in the drop box, we are quarantining it for 24 hours before staff handles it. But if it's something urgent, they can take a photo of it in that box with their phone and then zoom in on that photo. And it's unusual, but we can do that, and it allows us to continue serving the public the way that we want to during challenging times like this.
Mhm.
Have you had many Dropbox customers?
I'd say 2 to 3 per day. Does that sound about right, Katie?
Yep, there hasn't been any today. I mean, I can only speak for the 2 days I've been here.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen any while I was here, but there was some, I believe, one day that Jan was here, and maybe yesterday when Beatty was here as well. So
Yeah. So maybe
less
0
than
to 2 per day.
Yep.
Okay.
Did someone do a generator test the other day? Is that what they were doing?
That I'm not aware of. What are you referring to?
I thought I saw someone outside one day when I was up there a couple days ago.
I don't think there's been a generator test. In fact, I know there hasn't been a generator test. So I'm not sure what that might have been.
Well, I don't know. I thought I heard it running. He was walking around with a clipboard. Might have been something else.
Unless Caldwell's is providing free generator tests now, which would surprise me.
I doubt that.
All right, so does everything seem to be working good, Katie, as far as alternating the crew and everything else? Does that work out well for everyone on the crew's point of view?
Yep, I believe everyone's been receptive to the idea and accommodating that way. No one's had any concerns of the way that we proceeded this week, so it all went well.
Okay, good.
That's good.
Yep.
No reason to change anything then.
I think the way we ran it this week was pretty smooth.
Okay, good.
The only thing I think that I had talked to Chris about a little bit at one point was if someone is in doing the budget payroll, then there wouldn't necessarily need to be a second person in there for that. So I think that was the only thing maybe we should consider having the 2 people there mandatory at all times, just so if someone needs to stop in and do the payroll. I know it seems silly, it's such a small thing, but if they can come in and do it and be out of there in an hour or so, there's no need to have someone else in there at the same time.
Mhm. Yep.
And Public Works is still kicking around?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Public Works is still at least 1 person on. And then, often Justin is also around if it's, let's say, Troy is working down in the garage or we're working out on one of the roads somewhere. Justin is also around. He's, per usual, wearing many hats, doing his harbor master, fulfilling his harbor master responsibilities. And, sorry, Martin wants to chime in. And also overseeing the crew and a number of things.
Okay. And it sounds like last week went well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it did. I think that, like Jamie said, I think being a little bit more relaxed about the 2-person requirement would be fine. I've spoken with all the staff to make sure people feel safe, because that's obviously a very, very high priority. And everybody has said that they do feel safe if they're here by themselves. I mean, the door, mainly because the exterior door is locked. It's very, no one is able to come in, and so that makes a big difference. And so I think also the fact that you guys are so available, all of your phone numbers are posted in several places around the office. And so if somebody did suddenly feel like they needed another person there, they've got 5 phone numbers to call.
Good.
Yeah, and I think the chances of if someone is stopping in to do payroll, just for instance, then there's probably a 90% chance of someone in the town garage too. So they could also call them, that would be the second person there.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, and Chris, how often are you around?
So right now my schedule, insofar as it's regular, is I'm there for about Anywhere from 12 to 16 hours on Mondays, because that's the day that I don't need to provide childcare, and so I'm trying to get as much done on Monday as possible. And then Tuesday afternoon, I'm also available and don't need to provide childcare. So I'm usually working about 8 hours or so on Tuesday, and then like I said, checking in at the office multiple times every day throughout the rest of the week. And then some weeks, there's availability that I'm able to come in on like a Friday, for example. I think I'll be able to be in next Friday, for example.
How are you handling the forwarding the calls, Chris?
So I was in the office on Saturday. Oh, I should also say I'm also stopping by the office on Saturdays and Sundays in order to keep getting everything done. On last Saturday, I was at the office for a couple hours and got it set up with our phone provider that I am now able to forward the calls to any cell phone with a few clicks from my computer. And so I don't need to call the company anymore to get that set up, which is very nice. Yeah.
How are you handling answering it?
Oh, well, we haven't had to do it yet because we've always had somebody at the office.
Oh, okay.
But if we did have it, then let's say Katie was, answering the town phones from her house, she would be able to answer it with her cell phone. And then I've left it up to the staff. I understand if people don't want to call someone back from their cell phone because then their personal number could show up. And so if that's the case, then if it's something that really is urgent, then we'll figure out a way to get someone down to the office or someone else to call them back. I'm always happy to call someone from my work cell phone. I don't care who has that number. And so that's how we're handling that aspect of it. And then trying to think, does that answer? Oh, and if we do end up in any regular situation where staff are answering the town's phones from their personal cell phone at home, then we will be providing cell phone stipends to any staff member who doesn't currently get one.
Okay. Sounds good. So does anybody have any issue with if we just kept things the same this coming week, and the only change would be to just a requirement for 2 people to be in the office at the same time? Other than that, it would be the same thing we set up last week.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
Me too.
All right, sounds good. Do you want a motion on that, Chris?
Yeah, just to modify your motion from last week because you did have that last week, so I want to show why it's different.
Okay. So just a motion to keep things operating the same, except with the exception of having 2 people in the office to once.
Yeah, to staff. That's tricky to word. To staff the office. Let's see. Trying to remember exactly what you said last week. Give me a second. I think I can pull up the minutes. Maybe not. No, I can't. I'm sorry.
Just
They're on the Z drive.
To staff the office from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, with alternating shifts.
That would be fine. I guess I feel like a little bit like it might be nice to have some flexibility in case someone does prefer to take to answer the calls from home. Do you guys have a problem with that?
Well, I think we should keep people in the office this week and not deal with transferring the phone lines yet. Like if we can get through another week with the staggering of the shifts, like you guys did last week, then do we need to forward phones yet?
I think that would be fine.
And then maybe we regroup again next week and then deal with the forwarding of the phones.
Sure.
And like I agree, Mackenzie, as far as the last week we were preparing, we thought maybe mid this week, stuff might change in a hurry.
Right, yeah,
Uh,
sure.
And like he said, knock on wood, it didn't. And hopefully it stays that way. But if something drastically changes by Monday or Tuesday, then we'll change things then quickly, however we have to. So.
I agree. I think it's key that we keep, some people in the office as much as we can. It's kind of essential to the function of the town. Eventually there may come a point where we have to move towards doing things a little more remote, but for now, let's try to keep it the way it is.
Okay, does anybody have a motion there? Or I can make a motion.
I'll give it a whirl. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion to have the office staff work Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 with alternate shifts as we did this previous week. And the only difference would be that we do not require 2 people to be in the office at the same time.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to staff the office from 8 to 4 Monday through Friday with alternate shifts, and to not have the requirement for 2 people to be in there at the same time. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, okay, Howdy,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Mackenzie,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
myself is yes. And then for the public works, do you want a separate motion for them, Chris, or just leave it alone?
I think the public works is exactly the same as last week, so I think you can leave it alone.
Okay. And the second part in the COVID-19 update was the park. Are they asking for our what we should say to them, or they want our opinion, or what is that, Chris?
Yeah, so the park is not asking for anything. I've not been contacted by the park at all regarding your opinion. This was generated as a result of Cornell Knight, the town manager of Bar Harbor, requesting that the park be closed to human entry. So it's a little bit more extensive than what the park has currently done.
Yep.
Currently, the park is closed Ocean Drive, which is the section of the Park Loop Road that they normally leave open year-round. They have closed that entirely. They've closed the carriage roads. They've closed the visitor centers. But again, all of these were mostly already closed because of it being winter or spring. And like Keith said, the campgrounds are opening later than normal.
So what do you guys think about to try to urge the park to close the park to human entry, or do you think we should just leave that alone?
I say leave it up to them.
I think leave it up to them. I don't want to, some people, especially residents, that's all they've got right now if they can't work. So,
yeah.
I personally, I don't go anywhere except go hiking in the park right now outside of being home or at work. So I kind of would like to leave that. I think once we get close to Memorial Day, we might have to revisit it again if we still have an epidemic going across the country. But for right now, I think we should just leave it the way it is.
I agree too. I think they're doing a good job, and I think it's really good for people to have the opportunity to get outside someplace.
And I really think we should, just keep encouraging people like we have. I know I've had probably 12 of my clients come up in the past week and a half, and just encourage them to self-quarantine. Several of them brought enough food and things so that they do not have to leave their home. And I've offered to drop a box of stuff off at their door and, make it easy for them so I don't have to have interaction with them and they don't have to have interaction with the public. But just, we have to be aware that there are going to be a lot of people coming up here, and they do own residences, and there's nothing to really stop them, I don't think.
Do we have any idea what Bar Harbor is doing about hotels?
They've shut down I know I work for a bunch of them. I know a lot of them have shut down till at least May 1, and then they're going to reevaluate and decide what to do. But most of them still plan on opening Memorial Day.
But what about the ones that are open year round? Like there's a couple that are open winter, year round. I'm just wondering.
I know the Bar Harbor Inn's closed till May 1. I don't know about the Walsh's hotels, but I'm actually going over there this afternoon to look at some work we're doing. We do all of their outdoor work, so I'm sure I'll have an answer on that.
Okay, like Atlantic Ocean side is usually open in the winter. There's a couple that are, which
I will say we have a Lions Club convention scheduled for May, the beginning of May, and they have canceled that due to this thing. So and they've offered to give us a full refund. So I'm assuming they're not going to open May 1st either.
okay.
So.
Okay, yeah, I agree with everyone, I guess, on the park as well. I think that it's the best thing for people to do to get out in the park and go for a walk or whatever they enjoy and get out in the nature a little bit. It's a lot better than being cooped up in a house or together in town with a bunch of people. So I think that's great. And like you'd said, Mike, I agree. We should definitely encourage people to keep quarantining themselves for when they come back from an extended vacation or anything, for quarantine themselves for a while just to be sure.
And they're coming up. I mean, most of these people are coming up 1 to 2 months ahead of schedule right now, I've noticed. So there's no question that I've had other clients ask me what the situation was up here, and I've explained to them that it's not an ideal situation to come up here right now. And honestly, if you do it, it may not be as well received as if it were, middle of the summer and say this situation wasn't going on. So I'm trying to discourage it a little bit, but I said, if you do come, please stay home. Stay home for 14 days and bring enough food so you don't have to go out in the public and risk the chance of bringing it into our community. And they're all been really, really good about it. So
that's good.
Good. All we can do, right?
Yep.
All we can do.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, does that cover everything, Chris? I believe that's all the stuff I had on my list. Just how to move forward for this next week, and then the rest, I guess, any regular stuff we will be doing on Monday night.
That sounds correct to me.
Okay. Date of the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to confirm the date of the next meeting for Monday, March 30th, 2020 via Zoom with meeting ID 899-857-7726.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to confirm the date of the next meeting for Monday, March 30th, 2020 via Zoom with meeting ID number 899-857-7726. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, Howdy.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Mackenzie,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
myself is yes. Okay, meeting adjourned. All those in favor, or yeah, go through the list again. Howdy.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Mackenzie,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
myself, yes.
We're done.
We're done. That's it.
Okay.
Be safe
Thank you.
out there, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later.